so that those of us that be able to join the Zoom will be able to join the YouTube. All right. I would like to appreciate everyone that was able to join. If you can hear me loud and clear, please can you indicate in the chat box if you can hear me? Okay, thank you. All right, so we have 45 participants. Thank you very much for coming on board. The reason why I decided to set up this session was because of the desire I saw during the, okay, thank you very much. During the session, I just concluded OSN at Ilorin. So I now discussed with Dr. Oleye and decided to have this formal session where I will share some of the experiences that I have in the subjects. Hopefully, it will reduce the learning curve that some of us might have gone through in trying to obtain the image of the retina. Okay, so without wasting much time, there was a link that I shared on the pages. One of the links that is very, very important. I've already shared the YouTube link. So I'm going to quickly play the video for us so that we can get it started at that point. Thank you. So this video is from an ophthalmologist that is based in South America. So it's a less than 4-minute video. So I want us to listen into the video. Thank you.
This is a video tutorial on how to take pictures of the retina with a smartphone. All you need is a smartphone with a camera and a 20, 28 or 30 diopter lens for indirect ophthalmoscopy. It is very useful to have these images for telemedicine, to show the images to the patient, photographic follow-up of lesions, academic purposes, among others. How to take the picture. It is very important that the smartphone has a continuous LED flashlight just beside the camera. This is that the light source is coaxial with the camera. I know it works with iPhone 7, 6 and 5, but in theory, any smartphone with a light source beside the camera should work. First, open the camera app in your smartphone. Then switch it to video mode. This way, the flashlight continues. Be sure the flash is turned on. Now, zoom the camera by pinching out with 2 fingers up to 3 quarters of the zoom bar. This way, you acquire the best result. Once you have an image of the retina on the screen, start recording. On top of the screen to adjust focus and exposure. The pupil should be dilated. Set your patient just as if you were going to perform an indirect ophthalmoscopy. Hold the 20 diopter lens 5 cm.
So sorry, we had some technical challenges playing the video. I think it has to do with network. So I would advise that we find time to look at that YouTube link. So I'm going to post the link now on the chat box so that we can copy it and take a look at it again. Sorry, we have Sporting Network where I am. So I'm going to post it. I'll post the link now on the chat box. Okay, so we can copy the link. Later on, we will listen to the link. All right. So during the session we had at the OSN, we had like 1 hour and 2 sessions for different people. And there were lots of information I wanted to pass across, which I could not. So hopefully, over the next 2 or 3 sessions, I should be able to pass the message across. And I would also want one of us to join us, maybe in this lecture or in another session where he will share his own experience in the area of retinal photography. Okay, so by way of introduction, I posted a little bit of actually how I got to this point. So I'm going to also make some introductory remarks so that we'll find out the different stages that we have gone through to come to this point. This procedure in Nigeria was popularized by one of my teachers, Dr. Oluleye. He taught this procedure during the 2017 ophthalmology clinical update course that I held in Lutz. So his procedure is the most basic kind of procedure that you have to acquire the image of the retina using a smartphone and a condensing lens. So in his own procedure, he used a 20D diopter lens, and he used, I believe, iPhone 5 or iPhone 5S. That was what he used. And it's a freehand technique. So he was able to acquire reasonably good quality images. So after getting that intro, I went back home and started doing a lot of study on the subject. And I discovered that there are lots of people, all over the world, especially in resource poor settings like in South America, in Africa, and then some parts of actually went into this procedure. So I discovered that there are several factors that are involved in acquisition of this image. So today we are going to just talk on the different different factors, and in the second series, which will hold most likely in a week's time, I'm going to do a demonstration, on the patients so that it will be easy. And I'll try to demonstrate all the techniques. There are different techniques. The most basic is a 20D lens or a 22D lens, 28D lens, 30D or a 40D lens. These are the careful lenses that you can use for this. The most popular lenses that I use are 20 diopter lens. I acquired Retina 2.2 lens, which is a hybrid lens that combines the magnification of 20 MD and the field of view of 28D. So it's a hybrid lens. So, but any of these lenses should be able to serve you. So over time, I've discovered in an order the different factors that help you in having a good image. The most important factor is phone factor. There have been different publications. Sorry, someone shared the screen. Okay. Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. All right. So the most important factor is the phone factor. In the phone factor, there are different kinds of smartphones. You have the Android-based smartphones, and then you have the iPhone, that's the iOS-based platforms. The iOS-based platforms that the platforms that have the best quality of image is the iPhone iOS platform. During my study, I used Samsung Android phone. I used Techno. I used iPhone SE. Okay, Dr. Otuka, please can you unmute yourself and speak? Can you unmute yourself, Dr. Mrs. Otuka? I can see that your hands are raised. Dr. Mrs. Otuka, please, can you unmute yourself and speak? Okay. If you're having challenges, please, you can type in something on the chat box. Thank you. The first part is the best phone to use is an iPhone. I'm not advocating the iPhone per se, because I don't have any relationship with iPhone, but this is what I actually found, over time. So the iPhone has a retina camera. The camera is able to capture a relatively good quality image, unlike Samsung or other phones. Most of these other phones may put a high-end pixelation. You may see 25 megapixel, you may see 45 megapixel. But however, these pixels do not usually translate into quality of retina images. So the form factor, from my own experience, an iPhone is the best mobile device to use for smartphone fundus photography. Those that have been used and reported in researches include iPhone 5, iPhone 5S. I've used iPhone SE, the old model. I've used iPhone 6S. I've also used iPhone SE 2020 model. Then if you search on YouTube, which I'm going to share some of the link with us, you also find iPhone 7. These are the ones that I have come across in literature. However, technically, you can use other iPhones. So I'm going to share a portion of a video now, the video that I wanted to play, and show us something with regards to the phone factor.
This is a video tutorial on how to take pictures of the retina with a smartphone. All you need is a smartphone with a camera and a 20, 28, or 30 dioptric lens.
If you can hear the video, please indicate by
it is very useful
typing in the chat box if you can hear
to show the images to the patient, photographic follow-up of lesions, academic practices, and others. How to take the picture. It is very important that the smartphone has a continuous LED flashlight just beside the camera. This is that the light source is coaxial with the camera. I know it works with iPhone 7, 6, and 5, but in theory, any smartphone with a light source beside the camera should work. First, open the camera app in your smartphone, then switch it to video mode. This way, the flash lights continuously. Be sure the flash is turned on. Now, in the camera by pinching out with 2 fingers up to 3/4 of the zoom bar. This way, I've acquired the best results. Once you have an image of retina on the screen, start recording. On top of the screen, just focus on exposure. The pupil should be dilated. Let your patient just as if you were going to perform an indirect laparoscopy. Hold the 20 diopter lens.
Okay, we can see in this video the freehand procedure, and he is using an iPhone. Okay, so I'm going to continue the video now.
5 centimeters from the eye, and the smartphone 20 to 30 centimeters from the lens. With this setup, the lens should be filling complete the smartphone screen. And make sure to keep it.
So is the freehand technique.
Each manually
blindness, which I'm going to talk about
and the camera.
after talking about
Remember, centered in the adjustments back over to obtain the image of the retina and tapping the screen to keep lens and to make more and moving just lens.
and not secret. So where I actually wanted to drive, the particular place I wanted to drive attention is this: the positioning of the phone and the positioning of the camera. The camera flash. In this image, you are going to see the sorry, I may not be able to do annotation, but you can see the camera, and you can see the flash by the side. So the flash is in a position to be coaxial with the camera, so that the camera light is actually going to be passing through the condensing lens to illuminate the retina, and then the image that is formed is actually formed in between the lens and the camera. Is an aerial image that is horizontally and vertically inverted. I'm going to go back to the main video. Okay, so in terms of the phone factor, the iPhone presents that picture, and some other phones also present it. However, when we talk about the quality of the camera, that is where you have issue of the quality. So the iPhone has a retina camera. Surprisingly, the camera of iPhone is called retina camera, and is the other ones pick up images of the retina. So I'm going to show us. Images. I'm going to show us images of what I was able to download of some of the works that I've done. I actually put it on the WhatsApp group and then on the Telegram group. So I'll share my screen, or rather I will share the pictures. Okay, let me share the pictures. So you can see my screen now. So I'm going to click on this first one. If you can see this, just type. If it is clear enough, just type. So this is an example of what you can get with an iPhone. You may not be able to get this quality of picture with other phones. If you can look very well, let me see whether I can annotate. Just a minute. Okay. So this is the area of the macula. You can see that it's quite clear. You can see the blood vessels clearly. You see these lights. These two lights are actually artifacts coming from the anterior lens of the surface and the posterior lens and the posterior surface of the condensing lens. So, you know, for every glass or every lens, it transmits most of the lights, or some of the light is actually reflected. So the one that is reflected at the anterior surface is this, and then the one that is reflected at the posterior surface of the condensing lens is this. So it's difficult for you to remove this lens, this light artifacts. But what I've come to understand is that if, for instance, in one of your images, these two light artifacts are maybe blocking the macula or blocking the optic nerve, when the patient moves the eye and change when in the location, you're able to see the structure clearly and the light will be out of the way. Right. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to clear the annotation so that we can move to the next diagram. So this is a close-up of the optic disc in that patient. That is actually the thing of concern, the optic disc. So we can see in this optic disc, we can make out that this looks cut. If you are using maybe some other phone, it will actually be difficult. I'm going to discuss other factors that contribute to by getting this quality of images. So I'll quickly go to another Okay, this is a hemiretina, superior hemiretina occlusion with some optic myopathy. So this is a branch macula involving retinal vein occlusion. You can actually see the points of the veno-arterial crossing here, where the occlusion took place. So these are things that you get with an iPhone that may be difficult for you to get clearly with other phones. And you can still see the light artifacts that I talked about as a result of the reflections coming from the anterior and posterior surfaces of the condensing lens. Okay, so for the next image, this is an image of an elderly patient with age-related macular degeneration. I was not particularly the optic. This I was focusing on the macula. And you can see, you can make out the geographic atrophy, you can make out the RPE lumps. You can also the hyperplasia of the RPE. Then you can notice the general atrophy in that area. And then you can also see the choroidal vessels of the retina as a result of the age-related macular degeneration. Then bruisings are also there. Okay, so this is a picture of a patient with pathologic myopia. So if you notice, this image is circular because I'm using an adapter. So I'm going to talk about the adapter. So let me trace the adapter, which is the third factor I'm going to discuss. So let me trace the adapter. This is the adapter here. So the adapter is actually the third factor I'm going to discuss. I'll just discuss the importance of the adapter. Then in subsequent sessions, I'm going to introduce us to different adapters that you have. I will start with my own adapters. Possibly Dr. Emonia will talk about his own adapter, and then we'll also talk about the other adapters that are in the market. So for me to have gotten this quality of images, I needed to use an adapter. So that's the third factor I'm going to discuss going forward. If we are following this, can we write in the chat box if you are following TOSFA? If you are following TOSFA, please can we write in the chat box? Thank you. Can I get feedback if you are following? So please, can someone unmute and give me a feedback whether they are following me?
I'm following you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the feedback. So I'm going to mute all of us once again just to make sure that we don't have background noise. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to move to the next picture. This is actually a peripheral picture of a giant. So I will also, maybe in the second or the third lecture, explain the technique to get peripheral images. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Okay, so I'll be able to show us about the pictures I was able to get on Android phone. Somebody asked on the chat box. Thank you, sir, for those who have iPhones. Okay. With an Android phone, with experience are better. So if there are two factors for you to get a good image, and because you cannot have an iPhone, you may factor in the other 5 factors, because the second factor I'm going to discuss now also involves an iPhone. Okay. So I'm going to show us a screen of the iPhone now. So we can see the screen of my iPhone. This is actually an iPhone 6S. So you will see in the center of the screen, there's an app that is called the Filmic Pro app. This is the app. Sorry. So this is the app that I've actually been using for imaging. So I'm not going to talk about the software. Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay, I want to call up the iPhone again. Just a minute, please. So this app is something that I've discovered that helps. In every phone, you have a native a native video camera in every phone. So the video that you have in your phone is what you call the native video camera. However, the video phones manual capabilities, because there are 4 required to be able to get a good image on the app. The first one is somebody talked about flash. The first one is the ability to have a flash. You can regulate this flash on through a software. But on most phones, you cannot regulate the flash. So, Dr. Oluloye, hello, can you do a breaking? If you can hear me, please, can you type? If my voice is not clear, please, can you type on the chat box? Am I loud enough? Am I clear enough? Someone is complaining that my voice is not clear. So I'm going to unmute. I'm going to unmute the participants now so that, okay, somebody, okay, yes, it's much better. All right, thank you very much. Sorry, I was not able to get a better network because down here in Southeast Nigeria, we have sit-down order on Mondays. So Mondays are particularly tricky in Southeast of Nigeria. Okay, so I will try to talk slowly so that my audio will not fluctuate much. The network that I have. Okay, so I'm trying to see how I can call up. I can call up the iPhone again. Just a minute. estimates. So I'm having an issue. Okay. Okay, back on. Thank you. Okay, so you can see on the screen the Filmic app. I'm videoing the adapter, which is like the next factor I'm going to discuss and possibly go into the fourth factor before we enter into we have another session, which will be more of to finish the factors involved and then do a demonstration. So right on your screen, let me remove the adapter. So you can see on your screen the manual control for the app. I'll go to the native camera of the iPhone so that we will understand what I'm talking about. So I'm going to the native camera of the iPhone. So this is the native camera of the iPhone. So you can see that you have video, you have photo. And for this type of photography, you use video. So I'm going to put on the video. Ordinarily, how people have been doing this is to on the flash. The flash is not continuous, and you begin to record as you are trying to position the lens. However, this technique, which you can also use with other mobile phones, does not give you manual control. For the focusing, the focus is automatic and you cannot adjust the focusing. The zooming is actually possible, but is great. Then the what they call exposure. What you call the exposure is also not possible to be done by this native camera app. So, and when you want to get the image of the retina, you require the ability to have manual control. And that's where the app comes in. So I'm going to go back to the app. So the app is Filmic Pro. Filmic Pro is an app that you can get on Android, on iOS Play Store. Some Android phones can actually get this Filmic Pro app, but it selects Android devices. Take for instance, my Samsung phone may not be able to download it, but there are some Android phones that can download it because it's a high-end app that some actually use. On this screen, you can see the color and on that they are not. So this is where I'm going to spend a little bit of time to explain. Okay, so the name of the app. So I'm going to type it in now for everyone to see. It's called Filmic Pro. So that's the name of the app, Filmic Pro. So we can jot it in our notes. All right. So this app is available not for free, it's available for a cost on iOS. I think it's currently 6,500 naira. The time I bought it, it was cheaper because of the exchange rate. I bought it 3 years ago. And the good thing about it is that if you buy it you can. Oh, my audio is poor. Sorry for that. So sorry. Okay. I'll try to be a little bit slow. Okay. So we can see on the right side of the screen where you have focus and you have zoom. By the left side of the screen is exposure. So if you want to do freehand, you have to zoom the lens so that the edges of the lens will be in the edges of the phone. So that the left side of the lens will be by the left side of the screen, just meeting the edge, and the right side of the lens will be by the right side of the screen. The idea is that so that your screen will feel the display of the phone. So if I zoom now, I'll click on the zoom. So these are the controls I was talking about that this app affords you for smartphone endoscopy. Then the next one is exposure. I've discovered that if you have long vision, you may have your optic disc overexposed. So you not be able to differentiate between the cup and the scenario. So with modification of the exposure, you can reduce the amount of light, the amount of exposure of retinal range, so that you'll be able to pick up details of the retina. So if I do like this, I increase it gets brighter. Halfway, so that when you start reaching the retina, you may be able to modify this exposure so that your retina will become sharper. Then the last one is the focus. I've activated it now. So and then I will focus. This adapter to show us an idea of what I mean by focusing. If we notice, this picture is not clear because it is overexposed. You can make out the details of this adapter. The same way you will not be able to pick out details in the retina. So I'm going to reduce the exposure. So just by modifying the exposure, the details are a little bit clearer. Modify the focus. So it's now sharper. So there are 4 things that this app helps you to do. The first one is the flash, which I'm going to talk about. The second one is the zooming. The third one is the exposure. And then the fourth one is the focusing. For the flash, the settings, then you click on the touch. For iPhone, the function of choosing low, medium, or high in an iPhone. But if you're using an Android phone, you may not be able to have the functionality. So Dr. Oloye developed a technique that he used a sellotape, a masking tape, those paper type of masking tapes, where you use one layer on top of your flash. So this masking tape acts like a neutral density filter to reduce the intensity of light that passes through the flash. So if you want to reduce it by about 25%, you use one masking tape. If you want to reduce it by 50%, you use 2 masking tapes. That's one on top of the other. So this is a manual way of reducing the amount of light that enters through the lens into the patient's eye. I've also discovered that patients are more comfortable if you're operating at medium. So now I'm at medium, okay? But if you have a lot of media opacity, like a cataract, you may need to operate with a high. So I'm currently at high now. So but I'll put it off and I'll return back to the screen. So this is a rundown on the second factor that is required to get a good retinal image. Then the third factor is I talked about the adapter factor. In the free procedure, so I'm going to go back to a clip of the video again. I'll go back to a clip of the video. So in this clip of the video, you notice that the phone between the phone and smartphone ophthalmoscopy, fundoscopy, or smartphone retina photography or fundus photography. The lens eye distance, which is between the eye and the phone, and then the lens phone distance, which is distance between the lens and the phone. So when you want to take this image, you are dealing with two different distances. You are dealing with two different distances. So you have a problem of being able to mind the lens eye distance, at the same time mind the lens phone distance. So, and you have to move these two together in synchrony. If you want to move the lens forward, you must move the phone forward. If you want to move the lens back, you must move the phone back. And it's also almost impossible for you to be able to coordinate these movements without having lesser movement of the lens from the eye vis-a-vis the movement of the phone with the lens. So in order to solve this, most people developed adapter. We have different kinds of adapter that are markets. During the OSN, I demonstrated with this adapter. So I'm going to show it now. So you have this piezo adapter. This adapter, there are different kinds. However, the is to the less this distance roughly between TM and on the lens that you're using. The lens eye distance is roughly 5. The adapter fixes distance between the phone and the lens. So we have many companies. Oh, my speed is slowed and the network is poor. So sorry for that. Maybe it's because of the video that I'm using. Is a particular problem. Can I get feedback, please? Okay, someone is asking me the role of the adapter. Okay, I'll get to that. Can we hear my voice? If you can hear my voice, please can you? Okay, I have a feedback that I can be heard. All right, thank you very much. So the adapter fixes the lens phone distance. That's what the adapter does. It fixes the lens phone distance, because this distance is a distance that you have to modify as you modify the lens eye distance. So in order to modify just one distance, which is a shorter distance, which is a working distance between the eye and the lens, which is around 5 cm plus or minus 2 cm. So by fixing this distance between the lens and the phone, you are able to I've discovered that just having the adapter, having the app, and having the good phone can improve or increase your ability to obtain a good retinal image by up to 70%. So these three factors are the most important factors. Unfortunately, this Pasoscope adapter is no longer in circulation. However, there are some that are in circulation. Some are cheap, some are not. Some adapters can actually help in mounting on street lamp. Assuming you want to use street lamp to acquire the image, in that case, you need to have a street lamp and then the patient is sitting up. However, the fourth factor that I'm going to discuss on is the issue of patient positioning. If we can recall, for binocular indirect ophthalmoscopy, we usually use patient sitting down. However, you can actually have the patient sitting up. I've found using patients lying down to be preferable. If somebody asks, where do you keep the adapter? The adapter actually, there are different kinds of adapter. I'm going to discuss it later, so that I want to go through all the factors. Then I'll begin to discuss the factors in detail, and I'll discuss different options that you have in the market, and also the possibility of you producing your own adapter. So the adapter is kept in between the phone and the lens, depending on the adapter. So let me quickly open this Fundus adapter so that I'll give us an idea of what an adapter is. It's a Fundus adapter that you are seeing on your screen. So I've focused on it. So this Fundus adapter was made by an American company, but they are actually out of business. You were able to give me some free copies of the adapter, some of which I've actually shared during the last OSN and the current, the most recent OSN that just passed. So here you have where the phone clips upon. So this can support any phone. So take for instance now, I've clicked one of my phones on it, and I'll hang it. So this place is for phone, for this adapter. This adapter was actually 3D printed, meaning that a 3D printer was used to print the adapter. Okay. Then you have this is the one that carries the lens. So you open it from here, then you tighten it. So this end, here's the lens. Because of the size of this, it can only take large aperture lenses like 22D, 28D, 30D, and 40. If you want to use PD, you have things that are produced by the manufacturer to adapt the smaller aperture lens. So these are the adapters. So for a small aperture lens, for instance, you put the 20D lens here, then you adapt it to this bigger aperture. And then you now position it inside this place. So it holds it. While this place, enters here. This place enters here, then you click it. So this system is what I was talking about. It fixes the distance between the phone camera and the lens. So it fixes this lens phone distance so that you only bother about the lens eye distance. Because if you don't have an adapter, you are going to bother about the lens phone distance and the lens eye distance. And without an adapter, you are going to struggle to get a good retinal image. Then I also have another adapter that I got. This one is a Vogue adapter. This one is expensive, and I will not recommend it. This one goes for like $800. It's expensive. What this one does is that it has a setting for the phone where you put the phone, and this one was specifically made for iPhone 6s. So you can see in view adapter 6 is that for iPhone 6. Then here it has a lens inside this place. You can see the lens inside this place. So the lens is already inside it. I think it's a 20D lens that is inside it. And then, so this system is a modification of the other one I was talking about. It closes the lens here and the phone here, so that you don't have any external disturbances. So but this Vogue in view is actually expensive, $800. So but by the end of these sessions, by second or third session, we are going to show locally made adapters that we can purchase or actually buy. I'm going to have a list of the adapters that I have come across in the internet, and also send us a link of where to buy it. And then in the third lecture, we're not going to talk about the different other techniques for smartphone photography. This technique is monocular, indirect. Monocular being you don't have binocular view, but it's indirect because there is a condensing lens in between your eye, and the camera is now acting as the eye and the lens, and then the patient. Right. So far, I hope we are following me. If you are following and we have a hang of what I'm discussing, please can we write in the chat box? And then if you have anything that you need me to shed more light on, you can also write in the chat box. I will soon unmute everyone so that we can have direct questioning. So I've discussed. So the fourth factor is patient positioning. So you can do this procedure when the patient is sitting up or when the patient is lying down. But I have come to understand that it is better and you get better image quality when the patient is lying down. So when the patient is lying down, I usually operate from the head of the patient. Okay, so I'm going to share the next the video that we watched. So in this video that we watched, you can see that the doctor, the ophthalmologist, is by the right side of the patient, examining the right eye of the patient. So this is not my positioning. I actually position myself to be at the head of the patient. Because using an indirect lens, the image will be vertically and horizontally inverted. If I stay at the head of the patient, I'm going to see an image that is reversed. So that vertical and horizontal inversion is going to be reversed. So I will now have a clear picture as if I'm doing a direct ophthalmoscopy. So take for instance, if I want to examine the right eye of a patient and I'm at the head of the patient, what I'll be seeing in my camera will be the optic disc by the right side of the camera screen, and the macula will be by the lower left side of the optic disc, just as if I am viewing the eye using a direct ophthalmoscope. So that is one of the advantages. The second advantage of using this while the patient is lying down is that the patient's head is rested on the bed. So the patient is not hanging his or her head, because you need maximum comfort for the patient in order to get the best out of this procedure. Then the third thing that you get by a patient lying down is that the hand of the free hand, the hand that is yes, Dr. Ada. So if you stay in the head of the patient, the images will not be inverted and you'll be seeing it as if you are doing a direct ophthalmoscopy. Yeah. All right. So the third one is that the hand of the ophthalmologist holding the lens is not against gravity. So if you are holding your hand like this and you're examining the patient, gravity is acting on your hand like this. So after a while, you notice that your hand, you want to lower your hand if you are examining this patient sitting up. So I've understood that if the patient is lying down and you are facing down to the patient, gravity will be removed. So you are now working with gravity and not against gravity. So these are the three things that you get by positioning the patient flat on the bed, on the couch. And you can now make movements. You can make movements around the patient on the left side. You can also make movements around the patient on the right side. Okay. So I've talked about 4 factors. The time now is 5:14. So by 5:30, I'm going to conclude with all the factors so that we can have a question and answer session, and then I'll share some more images. Okay, so the fifth factor is actually the ambience, the environment of the examining. It's better done in a room that is dark, just like you have when you are doing a BIO. The reason for this is that we initially talked about the 2 reflected lights that come out in the image. So when you have multiple lights in the room, you're going to have multiple lights points of light. Okay. Sorry for the network. Can you hear me better now? So I'm going to allow us to unmute ourselves so that I can hear from us. So please unmute yourself and give me an audio feedback.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
I can hear you.
Your voice is very clear to me.
Okay, meaning that it's some people
Maybe,
that are having issues.
yes, I think because you're actually very audible from my own side anyway.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ademola. Any other person to give me positive feedback on the audio? All right. So I've discussed the phone factor, I've discussed the software factor, I've discussed the adapter factor, I've discussed patient positioning, I've discussed the examination room or the environment of the examination room. So these are the top 5 factors I consider to be very, very important to the acquisition of retinal photography using a smartphone. At this point, I would like us to ask questions before I conclude, and then hopefully I'm going to get a better network for the next session, which is going to be practical, and I'm going to be demonstrating it on a patient. And then I'll now go in depth into using of the software. We are going to do a demonstration for free technique where you only use the lens and you use the phone. Then we'll now use the adapter that I have. And then I don't know whether I'll have time to fabricate another adapter before the next session. I also invite Dr. Emonye to talk about his own adapter and how he created his own. I will share links of people that were able to create the adapter and how they were able to create it. And possibly we will now go to the next stage of looking at how to buy some of the adapters if we can pay. And then people will share their experiences, what they find to be difficult, and then we'll try to see how we can explain to them. So in total, there will be 3 sessions. So this is the first session. So I want us to unmute ourselves, or we can raise our hands so that we can ask questions, and I'll be able to attend to it in terms of introduction. And after this lecture, I'm going to share some more links on the different groups, both on WhatsApp and on Telegram. So please, if you want to ask any question, please, you can raise your hand and ask. Okay, I can see that Dr. Alice wants to ask a question. Okay, Dr. Alice, please unmute yourself and speak.
Okay, thank you very much for a wonderful session. Although the network was breaking, I think it was my network. I'm not sure if it was from your side. My question is about the Filmic Pro. Is there an alternative?
Yes.
Are there similar apps that one can use?
Yes, there are similar apps. So I will share 2 other apps that one can use free, and you can find them on the App Store. So I'm going to switch my cameras now. Okay. So you can look at the screen. There is a portion of the screen that says I in the middle of my iPhone screen. It's called human indirect. So I'm going to type it in the chat box now. Human, ULLMAN, indirect. So this app was actually, sorry, my phone is off. So this app was human indirect. Okay. So autofocus, yes. So we can see the app now on my screen. So let me make it bigger. Let me make the app bigger. Okay, I may not be able to make it bigger. Okay, so this app was made by an ophthalmologist based in US, one of the eye centers in the United States of America, as his own personal projects, which I've also found to be useful in the sense that this app has some features that TV Pro has, and it is free. And this app was developed by an ophthalmologist. So you can imagine that there are lots of features that will come in handy. So maybe I'm going to discuss this app later, because this app, I find myself using the app along with Filmic Pro. Okay, so this app has can modify lights. So I can modify the light like this. So it has 4 different steps to modify the light of the app. Then you can also modify the exposure. So it has auto exposure and it has manual exposure. So if I want to do auto exposure, I will uncheck auto exposure box, and then I can modify the exposure. Assuming you want to get better image of, let's say, the optic disc. Remember, we talked about this feature when we're talking about Filmic Pro. Then it also has the focusing feature. Currently, it's on autofocus. So if I uncheck the focusing feature and then bring in something to use as a demonstration, you see that this image is overexposed. It's overexposed. So I'll use this app developed by an ophthalmologist to modify it. So I will reduce the exposure, the image gets a little bit clear, and then I'll now adjust the focusing. So this is, I'm adjusting the focusing. This is out of focus, this is in focus, this is out of focus. So the sharpest focus is somewhere here. Okay, so we can see that some of the manual functionalities of Filmic Pro, we can get it from human indirect. So this is another app that I recommend. However, this app records images in MP4, but Filmic Pro records images in .mov. .mov is not compressed. MP4 is compressed. So there is a slight degradation in the final image that you get when you are using human indirect vis-a-vis Filmic Pro. However, if you don't have money and you want an app that has manual control that is better than the normal camera of the phone, as far as iPhone is concerned, you go for human indirect. All right, thank you. Any other questions? You can raise your hand and you can speak. Any other question? Okay, some people have typed in some things on the chat box. Thank you very much. I'm just going to allow this session to be mostly introductory. From the little that we have gleaned and from the links that I'm going to share, I believe that some of us, as from tomorrow, can actually use their phones and use their lenses that they have for VIO and get some images at the clinic, and possibly the next session, which is going to hold within 1 week's time, we can now get a practical demonstration. All right. So any other question before we can end this session? Any other question? All right, so we now know all the key factors that are involved to be able to acquire a clear Fundus image using a smartphone. The phone factor is important. The software factor is important. The adapter factor is important. Patient positioning is important. And then the examination room environment. All right, I want to appreciate each and every one of us who was chanced to listen into this discussion. And please, you can ask questions on the chat group, on WhatsApp, and on Telegram. I'll be able to attend to those questions. I'm also going to share more links on the Telegram group and on the WhatsApp group. Hopefully, the next session will be better. The network should be better. And the practical demonstration where we are going to get image of the patient's retina. Thank you very much. If there is any other question anybody wants to ask, please you can ask. If not, I'm going to end the lecture in the next 2 minutes. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much, Dr. Fatima Umar, for your commendations. Thank you, Dr. Uchenna Mwebe. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Chika. Thank you, Dr. Oluchi. Thank you, Dr. Alice. Thank you, Dr. Emeka. Thank you, Dr. Florence Mpogu. Thank you, everyone. All right, I'm going to end the lecture and I'll provide the link for those that were not present to listen in. On that note, please do have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much and bye-bye. You can unmute yourself and greet. Let me hear your voice. You can unmute yourself and greet. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
That's another thing. You know, that's another thing. So it's kind of a tough situation. But if you want to, if you want to recognize democracy, then there's no room for a coup. That's not the way to go. If you're out there and you want to be a part of our conversation, in fact, we're totally out of this.
All right, Dr. Ada, thank you. Dr. Chinwokafo, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, please, let's practice. Practice makes perfect. It took me 1 year to learn most of the things I have learned, but I believe that you can learn it in a shorter period of time. Thank you.
I didn't do English.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma. All right, I'm going to end the lecture. Thank you.